The mid-season update for Season 17 of Overwatch 2 is almost upon us, and it is going to be stuffed with a lot of surprises. Let's have a look. Season 17 is moving along steadily, and after doing some math on my fingers, I realized that we're almost at the mid-season mark, because the mid-season update is expected to drop on July 22nd, which is less than 2 weeks away. And as has been the habit this year, the mid-season update is going to be rather substantial. Now, while in the previous seasons we did have quite a good idea of what to expect for that mid-season update, this time around that is slightly different. We know that there's a lot of content coming for those last 5 weeks of Season 17. We just don't really know what it is going to be exactly. Well, for most of it. So let's get started with the things that we do know. And the first thing is actually something that might even drop before the mid-season update, like next Tuesday, and that is Maximilian's Vault. Now, in case you haven't played Overwatch in quite a few seasons, you might be surprised to find Max in the game. Well, he tends to open up his vault just around mid-season, offering players huge discounts on stuff that is in the shop. And supposedly that is stuff that you don't own yet, but is for your main characters. Look, I'm going to be honest, you're getting 5 deals. If you're lucky, they're going to be for heroes that you actually play, and they're going to be skins that you want. But prepare yourself to get 5 items that you would never buy. It's just how it works. It's basically Max getting rid of his stock. But like I said, that could be any day now, well, Tuesday, or with the mid-season update a week later. When it comes to normal shop items, well, that's where all the mystery begins. Lately, every single Overwatch season has been made up out of 2 big themes. And this time around, that was the 8-bit theme and that was the Overwatch Academy theme. On top of that, there's also the collabs. Previous season, we had 2 of them. This season, we already had 1, and that was the G.I. Joe collab at the start of the season. And we're most likely getting a second collab, but I'm coming back to that in a second. However, I can already tell you that it's not going to be a collab with hero skins. So that is still a big question mark. Because we already got most of the Academy and the 8-bit skins both in the Battle Pass and in the shop in the last 2 weeks. So what are they going to add in those last 5 weeks? There are still a few 8-bit recolors and the 8-bit Venture skin. There also are a set of pink skins that we can still expect. And apart from that, there are a few scenarios to account for 5 weeks of shop updates. They might bring back a few of these old bundles. They've been doing that in the last 2 weeks, and people seem to like it. Those are bundles from previous seasons. B, there might still be a few more skins of those 2 themes, so the 8-bit and the Academy, that we haven't seen yet, and they might be putting those in the shop in the coming weeks. Or they just add a whole bunch of new themes, or more general previous themes, like the Toxic or the Zombie stuff. And the scenario C is the Summer Games. Now, before I get into the Summer Games, it is possible we get all of the above. Could be. Now, the Summer Games. We have not heard anything about the Summer Games this year. Not a confirmation, nor did we get a message that it was actually scrapped. Now, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, this season, Season 17, is ending somewhere near the end of August. So starting the Summer Games after that would be like, I don't know, celebrating Christmas in February. Yeah, sure, it's still snowy, it's the same weather, but come on, let's not do that. So, either they scrapped it, or they're purposely holding off on sharing info on the Summer Games. But why would you hold off on sharing info on a game mode that has been in the game since basically year 1? Well, because they're evil, they're monsters, or it is tied into something else. That second collab I was hinting at earlier. If you have been following me for quite a while, you know what I'm talking about. Because I actually made a video on that second collab last week. If you're not following me, why? I didn't freeze. It's just an intense look to convince you. In any case, they have been hinting very heavily at a second collab, and that would be with Nerf, like in Nerf with the foam darts. Check out my previous video to see all of the teasers. But as I mentioned in that video, I do suspect that we're going to get weapon skins based on Nerf weapons. And maybe a limited time game mode that is going to be tied into the Summer Games. So the whole collab will actually be the Summer Games, among a lot of other stuff. There is a lot that they can do with this Nerf collab. Check the video. Now, it could also be that they scrapped the Summer Games and we're just getting the Nerf collab and it's in no way tied together, but that would be a wasted opportunity, since that would refresh the Summer Games but also allow them to add summer-themed skins during those last few weeks. You know, a few more of those lifeguards. some people in somewhere. Maybe we can get a real barbecue mode. I mean, Genji has his little campfire. Why can't Soldier get a real barbecue? All right, Hart. Now, usually we get the mythic skin and the mid-season update, but most likely due to the nerf collab, that was moved to the start of this season. We already got the weapons. Those were the Reaper weapons, in case you missed that. On the other hand, we're getting map reworks in the mid-season update. 2 of them actually, Suravasa and New Junk City. The Flashpoint maps, the old Flashpoint maps. And all of the improvements are going to be based on the feedback that we have been giving in the last 2 years. I am, however, slightly worried about these reworks. For one, the new Atlas map has been stuck in 5v5 since the start of the season. It was supposedly fixed in a pretty recent update, but then apparently it wasn't. I'm not sure what the status is right now. But in the end, it doesn't even matter that much, because when the map comes up in map vote, it usually gets the least votes, which I do not fully comprehend, I'm going to be honest. There are some people that told me that there's too many hallways, small rooms, and that basically danger can come from anywhere, that you don't feel like you can grab a hold of a point, that you're always under pressure. And I get that, but let's be honest, this map is new. We still need to get used to all of it. I think we need to give it a little more time, but we'll see. But I'm starting to think that the reworks might suffer that same fate, that people are going to completely ignore it. At least for now. Best thing about this system is that even a map with 1 vote can still win. And I sometimes am that guy, going to be honest. Much to the dismay of my teammates. Now, besides that, there's going to be balancing changes. Of course they are. And I do expect them to go a little harder this time around on the core game mode, so the basic kits and the perks. Because we have not seen a lot of changes there in the last few updates. However, there's also going to be stadium updates. There are a few heroes, or at least a few specific builds that are under scrutiny by the team. But look, overall, the stadium has been getting more updates than the core game mode. It makes sense. I mean, this is a whole new story. This is a whole new thing. It makes sense that that would get a little more attention. But don't worry, the rest is coming. By the way, I'm also going to make a video about all of these changes as soon as they drop in 2 weeks. Make sure to subscribe. Other than that, there might be certain systems that they're going to tune. Maybe there are some surprising new features that they're going to unleash upon us. Or maybe there's going to be surprising new features that they're going to unleash upon us. The system design team at Team 4 has been hard at work. And while they have been kind of going back and forth on certain features, we can always expect something to happen. They don't always take the spotlight, but they're there. You need to look, but we appreciate them. There will, however, not be an Overwatch Classic this season, as far as we know. But the Hacks and Hijinks event is still going to be running around mid-season. That is starting next Tuesday, so it's going to overlap a little bit. Now, if you don't know what the Hacks and Hijinks event is, I made a video about it earlier this week. Go have a look. There will be drops in the mid-season and at the end of the season. And you can always join me on twitch.tv/DeemziesTV to get your drops every day of the week. The end of the season is also where we're getting a new drives event, and this time around, for real, well, hopefully, we'll be able to complete it in Stadium. That was going to happen previous season, that didn't. They pushed it back to this season. It should be happening. However, the short weekend event that most people are going to be looking forward to is, of course, the hero test weekend for Wu Yang, the new support hero, or Aqua, as he was called, which was his code name. It gives you a good idea of what his abilities are going to be about. Water. But anyways, I'm expecting that to happen somewhere near the end of July, early August. For 3 to 4 days, we'll get to test the hero in-game, in the unranked modes. Good luck with the cures. They are going to be huge. Now, before that, we can expect to see some teasers in-game, maybe? Or even an origin story? That could be starting as soon as the mid-season update drops. And as always, the final thing I say in every of these videos, there might be a few surprises, because they have gotten good at that. They have gotten good at just sneaking in features or content that we did not expect to see, apart from the occasional leak. Anyways, tell me, what are you looking forward to the most in a mid-season update? Let me know in the comments. For now, however, that was it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It always helps me out. I also want to thank my patrons and YouTube members. You too can become a member over on patreon.com/theomnicpost and right here on YouTube to unlock exclusive rewards. If you have a few minutes left, maybe check out one of my other videos. But above all, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye bye.